As you gently settle into rest and allow the weight of the day to fade away, imagine your thoughts drifting back through thousands of years to a time when Europe was a land of forests, rivers, and wide open plains, where small communities lived close to the earth and the rhythms of nature shaped every aspect of life. And in this quiet, ancient world, the Iron Age slowly emerged, not as a sudden revolution, but as a gradual transformation, beginning around 1200 BCE as the knowledge of ironworking spread across the continent, replacing bronze and reshaping societies in subtle yet powerful ways. And as the first iron tools were forged in glowing hearths, stronger and more accessible than bronze, they allowed farmers to clear forests more efficiently, cultivate heavier soils, and expand settlements into new regions, encouraging population growth and deeper connections between land and people. And as villages grew larger and more permanent, Europe became a mosaic of cultures, each shaped by geography, climate, and tradition, from the Celtic tribes of Western and Central Europe to the Germanic peoples of the North, the Iberians of the Southwest, the Illyrians and Thracians of the Balkans, and countless smaller groups whose names are now lost to time, yet whose lives laid the foundations of European civilization. And as you breathe slowly, imagine Iron Age Europe alive with movement. Wooden houses cluster within palisades, smoke rising from hearth fires, animals grazing nearby, and people gathering to share food, stories, and rituals passed down through generations. And though life was often harsh and uncertain, bound by seasonal cycles and vulnerable to famine or disease, these communities developed rich spiritual worlds, believing the landscape itself was sacred, that rivers, forests, stones, and mountains were inhabited by spirits or gods who demanded respect, offerings, and remembrance. And so sacred groves, hilltops, and bogs became places of worship, where priests and druids conducted ceremonies to ensure fertility, protection, and balance between humans and the unseen world. And as Iron Age societies grew more complex, social hierarchies emerged, led by chieftains and warrior elites whose power rested on land ownership, kinship ties, and martial skill. And warfare, though not constant, became a defining feature of the era, as tribes defended territories, raided rivals, and sought prestige through battle. And as night settles softly in your imagination, picture warriors preparing for conflict, shields painted with symbols, iron swords sharpened, spears balanced carefully in strong hands. Yet war was not only destruction, it was ritual, identity, and storytelling, remembered through songs and oral traditions that preserved history long before it was written. And alongside warriors stood skilled craftsmen, blacksmiths whose mastery of iron was both practical and mystical, as fire and metal were believed to hold transformative power. And from there, forges came tools, weapons, jewelry, and ceremonial objects, often decorated with intricate patterns reflecting deep artistic traditions, especially among Celtic cultures known for their flowing designs and symbolic motifs. And as you drift deeper into calm, imagine long trade routes stretching across Iron Age Europe, connecting distant peoples through the exchange of salt, amber, iron, gold, wine, and ideas, linking the Atlantic coast to the Mediterranean world, where Greek and later Roman influences filtered northward, introducing new technologies, luxury goods, and concepts of writing, urban life, and governance. And though many Iron Age Europeans did not write their own histories, their encounters with Mediterranean civilizations were recorded by Greek and Roman authors, who described them as fierce, proud, and deeply connected to their lands, often misunderstanding their customs, but preserving valuable glimpses into their world. And as centuries passed, Iron Age societies adapted and evolved, building hillforts atop ridges and cliffs for defense and community, some growing into major centers of power, while others remained small farming settlements, and daily life revolved around agriculture, planting, harvesting, tending livestock, interwoven with festivals marking seasonal changes such as solstices and harvests, moment of communal celebration, feasting, music, and storytelling that reinforced social bonds. And as the quiet hours of night deepened, imagine elders recounting ancestral legends by firelight, stories of heroic deeds, mythical creatures, and divine interventions, shaping collective memory and identity. And though life expectancy was shorter and dangers many, Iron Age people sought meaning and continuity through family, tradition, and belief, burying their dead with care, sometimes with weapons, jewelry, or tools, reflecting beliefs in an afterlife or ancestral presence. And across Europe, burial practices varied, from cremation urn fields to elaborate barrows, each revealing cultural values and spiritual hopes. And as the Iron Age progressed, external pressures increased, particularly with the expansion of the Roman Republic and later the Roman Empire, whose disciplined legions, roads, and administrative systems gradually absorbed large parts of Iron Age Europe, bringing profound change. And for some communities, Roman rule meant integration, trade, and urban development, while for others it meant resistance, conflict, and loss of independence. Yet even under Roman domination, Iron Age traditions did not vanish, instead blending with new influences to form the roots of medieval European cultures. And as your breathing becomes slower, imagine the final centuries of the Iron Age as a time of transition rather than an end, where old beliefs adapted, languages evolved, and identities shifted, carrying ancient customs forward into new eras. And though the Iron Age eventually faded into history, replaced by written records and centralized states, its legacy endured in European folklore, art, social structures, and collective memory, shaping how communities understood courage, honor, land, and belonging. And as this ancient world gently recedes into silence, let the steady rhythm of Iron Age life, fields worked by hand, fires tended with care, stories passed from voice to voice, guide your mind into rest, reminding you that beneath modern complexity lies a deep human past rooted in resilience, creativity, and connection to the earth. And as you drift towards sleep, know that the people of Iron Age Europe, though long gone, continue to